Coming out of the gate on vlog 317, and we have a very interesting hand where thousands of dollars go into the pot to tell you about. And it happened just a couple of days ago. Context often matters on this vlog. When I try to explain how a certain player plays and how that influences a hand, that can often be the deciding factor in what would happen in that hand. In this hand, that's not necessarily the case, though I do want to talk about it anyway. We get a guy sit down. Oftentimes this happens where the only unknown guy in the game is the guy that I end up playing the most hands against. An older gentleman from out of town who clearly was very rich and was throwing a lot of money around. He wasn't making terrible plays, but he was just overplaying a lot of hands, flopping top pair and just massively overbetting it, things along those lines. So it's one of those situations where you knew that if you could get a big hand against this guy, you were definitely going to have a chance to win a very big pot. Well, take a look at this hand. It would happen when middle position would limp in. This guy that I'm talking about is in the hijack, and he raises it to 35. I have pocket deuces on the button and make a standard call. Then the hand gets bizarre as the big blind, who does not do this a lot, looks to squeeze here. And my initial guess would be that if he's going to be squeezing, I'm not going to be seeing the flop here a whole hell of a lot. But he only makes it 110. Not an overly huge squeeze when I already have 35 in there. We then get the middle position limper making the call of 110. And this out-of-town gentleman that I'm talking about in the hijack also calling the 110. So, what do you guys think of this spot? Obviously the weakest of pocket pairs, but it does have the potential to be a spot where you could win a big pot should you connect on the flop. So I make this call and would look to engage in a set mining operation with $445 in. And sure enough, as you might have expected, it strikes gold. 8-6 deuce rainbow. The pre-flop raiser does not follow up and bet in this spot. He just checks. Middle position also checks. And now it's on this unknown guy that I'm talking about in the hijack, and he's going to bet it, and he's going to bet it pretty big. He makes it $225 here. For what I've seen out of him, he would definitely do this with any overpair, and he might even do this with a hand like ace-8, not to mention a certain amount of draws he could potentially have here. So this just is an absolute dream scenario, but my actual question was, can I make this even more of a dream scenario than you might expect? I have $900 in front of me now, after this $100 call, roughly. So do I just bet it all right now? Do I slow play it completely? Or option 3? And you might not think there's an option 3, but in a lot of live 5-10 games, you can kind of get away with this sort of thing. It's not something you're going to be able to do profitably against Justin Bonomo and guys like that. I've made statements like that before. I'm just talking about the reality of live poker sometimes. I simply click this back to 550. I can't tell you for sure that I saw coming what was going to come, but I did think it was a possibility if I made this exact play. So I min raise it. And sure enough, big blind folds. Middle position decides to stick around. Now, maybe if I'd gone all in, he would have as well. I don't necessarily think so. He cold calls the 550. Which means that about half of his stack is now in the pot. The hijack then says what I was hoping he would say. That he's all in. I obviously snap call, middle position, calls off his last $500. So, with $3,350 in the pot, we have 2 cards to come, and 3 players all in this situation. Crazy. I'm sitting here with bottom set. The turn is the 10 of spades, and the river is the 4 of diamonds. And by the way, before I reveal what happened here, I just want to get back on my soapbox and point out how tournament poker is far superior in this regard. I just think it's better when hands are turned over in all-in situations. I feel that the other players in the game who are paying rake deserve to see what the hell is going on in these all-in pots when they're not a part of it. Not to mention, it's just better for poker vlogging. Damn it. So this guy, of course, waits until the river to show his hand, and in what can only be described as a non-shocking development for bendeach 2025 poker, he says, I have a set of eights. We're flopped set over set. Middle position much, we don't get to see what he had. I know what I said at the end of the last vlog. Let me just make a note here. Note to self. Do not complain about not coolering anyone in months, or you yourself may get coolered. Vlog 317 is primarily coming your way from Reno, but also from California wine country. Anna and I have recently decided that we're going to make Napa a July tradition. And this year, we had guests. Marco from Trupoya and his girl Leslie. Marco's a vlog favorite. He was there at the Oaks on that memorable night a couple of years ago when the phrase Kraken Jacks was famously said in a game, and obviously I've never forgot it. The poker portion of this vlog would come your way on a week when Jose Canseco would play some poker at the Grand Sierra Resort and would refer to Rena as one of the best supervisors he's ever run into. And I do not believe he's wrong. But if Rena starts using steroids, I'm going to have some questions. I would head into Peppermill after what I thought was going to be a big week after what we saw in the last vlog. But as you saw at the beginning of this vlog, I lost back most of that money set over set. So I'd look to recoup it on this day. We'd get a full 5-10 game at 11 a.m. with James, the Professor, Bomb Pot Blue, both name-offs, and several others. I would start off opening pocket 10s six-handed, and I would get 3-bet by the cutoff to 125. Folds back around to me, and this is one of the few hands that I'm going to have that's going to result in me making this call. So with 265 in, the flop is Queen 3-4 Rainbow, and I check. He bets, but he only bets $55. What do you guys think of that? To me, it's like a version of the polarized check. I really think a $55 bet into a $265 pot is going to be top set or nothing a lot of the time. Obviously, I'm hoping for the latter, so I make this call. And with 375 in, the turn is an 8. I check for a second time. This time he does not bet as small. He comes out and fires 175. I fold my hand. I ask if he has top set, and he says that he does. And he even shows it to me. We get an open from the younger name-off and a call from the elder. I have Queen 8 of hearts in the blind and squeeze to 130. Both end up folding. We then get a true legend making his Ali-like return to the ring. I call him Mr. H. And after James, the Professor, would 3-bet to 105, he would cold call. And with my pocket 7s, I would kind of get sucked in there. I would lose the hand. And the next hand I'd play when I had pocket 9s and would raise that. And I'd lose the next hand I'd play when I have ace-queen suited and would raise that. And as can happen in 5-10 relatively easily, just like that it seemed like, I was stuck 500 on this day. So I would add a hockey puck into the game, now in for $2,000. And I'd see a raise to 40 from the younger name-off under the gun 1. And a call from his dad, middle position 1. I have ace 3 of spades in the hijack, and I make this call as well. Button would also come in here. So with 165 in, we're 4 ways to King Deuce 4 Rainbow, and this gets checked to me. Can I take this pot down with a bet? Only one way to find out. I fire 100, and one by one, all 3 of these guys throw their hands out of the muck. I would get a late start rolling video when Crazy Joe makes it 30 on the button. I am in the big blind with 8-6 of spades and make this call with a +1 limper following suit. So with 90 in, the flop is ace 7-10 1 spade, giving me a gut shot straight draw. I look to press it with that gut shot, and I bet out for 40. Limper folds, but Crazy Joe certainly isn't going anywhere. And he makes the call. So with 170 in, I drill the 9 on the turn. And now I look to change things up and go for the check raise. Sure enough, he does bet out and makes it 50. I grab a black chip, 2 greens, and 2 reds, and toss him into the pot and making it 160. He gives it a little bit of thought before making the call. So, with 490 in, we're heads up to the river, which is an offsuit 4. I bet 250. He thinks about this for a long time by his standards. Usually he acts pretty quickly and would proceed to show me an ace and throw it away. Crazy Joe Namath continues to own me in almost every way you can own a player, as he makes a damn good fold here. I look up to see how Rafael Devers was finally going to start at first base for the Giants, something that'll probably tilt Red Sox fans because he refused to do it there. Really hoping this will result in him turning into the guy that Yankee fans were so happy to watch leave Boston, because unfortunately he has not been that guy for the Giants. Though Willy Adames has been coming on strong of late, so that's been about the only good thing, as at the time of this recording, they have been playing as bad as they're capable of. I open King 9 of diamonds under the gun to 35 and get 3 callers, including a guy that was on my immediate right, who I had never seen in this 5-10 game before. And with 140 in, the flop is King 9, 6 rainbow with 1 diamond giving me top 2. This unknown in the big blind then leads out for 65. I raise it to 175 here. Other 2 guys fold, and the big blind calls. So with 490 in, the turn is a queen. And to my surprise, he now bets, and bets almost half the pot. He makes it 175. My read on this guy was that he was taking a shot in a bigger game that he doesn't normally play, and was going to be very patient and wait for a good spot when he actually put his money into the pot. That was quite possibly the single most incorrect read I've made in my entire life. Anyway, I called 175. And with 840 in, the river is a 10. He has $350 here, and I would proceed, based on my completely idiotic read, to make a very stupid decision and not raise all in, which would result in only a $1,040 pot, though it should have been bigger than that. He turns over King Deuce offsuit, which I will say I did not have on my bingo card, and my read on this player has officially been altered, to make an obvious statement. But if you're worried about me not getting that money, well, take a look at this. A few hands later, he was down to his last 200, and he would simply shove that 200 in to the $15 pot pre-flop from the under the gun position. And as it would turn out, the dealer was kind enough to give me a couple of kings when that happened. No one else would get involved in the pot, the board would run out, and I would collect $400. I would then come across the Professional Darts Corporation Instagram page, and I would follow it. I'm just going to show you some video and kind of summarize this because bomb pot graphics are a nightmare, and I don't think you're here to hear about them anyway. But I would flop a jack high flush draw on one half of a double board bomb pot, and quads on the other. My opponent would bet out, and I would just call, hoping to build up some money to chop with him. Turns out I would miss the flush on the river of that bottom board, and my opponent would bet 200 on the river. I would raise him 1,000 more. And in what I would describe as the most shocking moment of this entire day for me, I would get snap called, and all he had was Queen 4 offsuit for a pair of queens on the bottom board. He made a good call, but I am still astonished by it. I would stay hot. I'd pick up pocket aces against Mr. W, who had just sat down in the game. I would end up winning the pot, but I would do the last thing that you often want to do with pocket aces, and I would river an ace to give me aces full, and all that would do was kill my action as he would get away from his pair of jacks on the river. So I was cruising. I mean, I didn't get dealt 6-4. I was just rolling along. So much so that I ended up not playing a hand for the next hour. Last thing you want to do when you're crushing the game, as far as I'm concerned, is get involved with a terrible hand and give that money back. That said, when I was dealt Queen Jack offsuit about 10 minutes later, I would decide to get in there. I can't fold every hand. Anyway, the main reason I did that was because the King Deuce guy had limped under the gun. Brian Namath, though, would call in the small blind, and needless to say, that limper was calling too. So with 130 in, the flop is Ace, Jack 3, all hearts, giving me a pair and a flush draw, and it gets checked to me. I bet out for 60. And the exact opposite of what I was thinking would happen does happen, and that is that Namath calls, and the King Deuce guy folds. So with 250 in, the turn is an offsuit 9. He checks, and knowing certain tendencies that can happen here, I elect to pot control this and check it back with the river coming another heart, giving me the second nuts. He checks once again, and this time I make it 90, trying to get a very wide percentage of his range to pay off. In hindsight, I should have bet 150. And if I had seen his hand, I would have bet the entire pot, as he would call, creating a $430 pot, and it would turn out that he got his first real 6-string. Bought it at the 5 and dime. And that pot gets shipped over to me. I do think that is the most I've coolered anyone in like 3 months. So I'll take it. The next hour after that involved me losing pretty much every hand I played, giving back a couple hundred of the money that I had made to this point. Though, when I was trying to rack up, I would be able to 3-bet kings and get action on it. And after my flop bet got called, I ended up adding about 200 more as I was trying to rack up and book a nice win. All right, cashing out, able to win back the $1,000 I lost in that set over set nightmare, plus $925 more. On a very good day here at Peppermill. Had to believe we'd have some of these due over the second half of 2025 after the first half went as poorly as it did. I'm recording this on July 22nd. I'm not going to be able to play a hand of poker again until July 31st. Part of me thinks I'm going to be jonesing, given the fact that I'm finally turning the corner. It's like you'd rather have a prolonged stretch of no poker happen in the middle of a downswing. Not happening that way this time. Oh yeah! Darts, baby. Watching some more of it. Today's actually a huge day as I record this on Sunday, July 27th in the world of darts, the final of the World Match Play event. I am recording this while it's still going on. The guy I expect to win is Luke Littler. He's 18 years old. And he's like the best darts player in the world. How does that happen? What a phenom that guy is. Are there more people who watch poker and don't play poker? Or are there more people that watch darts and don't actually play darts? Either way, I don't yet play darts. I'm going to become a dart player once I move out of this condo. That is the plan anyway, and I'm jonesing to do it. So as you know, we had a guy who frequents the Peppermill, doesn't live here in Reno, but lives an hour away up at Lake Tahoe, make the final table of the main event, Jared Mangini. And I just had the chance to do a half-hour Zoom call with him. And you're going to see that conversation here on this channel in the coming days. I will tell you, he won $1.25 million, and he did address the issue of how much of that, roughly, he will be taking home himself. So check out that conversation if you want to find out more about that. We really got into what it was like making the final table from a behind-the-scenes perspective, something that, if you're watching this vlog, obviously it's the thing that you aspire to do. Make that final table. He's actually done it. So a cool conversation with Jared that will bring your way here on this channel shortly. Hit those like and subscribe buttons if you're new to the vlog. I genuinely appreciate that. We are back here next time.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't